Okay, so anyone who's ever done business internationally knows the pain of sending and receiving money across borders. It's like the whole system is stuck in the dark ages. You know what I mean? Waiting for transfers, figuring out exchange rates, and then bam, hit with these ridiculous fees. It's enough to make you want to pull your hair out.
It's a major headache for businesses, that's for sure.
But you dug up some research on a possible solution. Stablecoins for B2B payments.
Yeah, this stuff is really fascinating, especially for businesses like yours that are dealing with all the complexities of global trade.
Okay, so before we get too far into the weeds, let's make sure everyone's on the same page here. What exactly are stablecoins, and how are they different from, say, the crazy ups and downs of Bitcoin?
Well, imagine you have a digital token that's kind of like the best of both worlds. You've got the speed and efficiency of cryptocurrency, but also the stability of a regular currency, like the US dollar.
Gotcha. So unlike Bitcoin, which is all over the place, stablecoins are designed to hold their value.
Exactly. They're usually pegged to a stable asset.
So if I'm holding a stablecoin that's pegged to the dollar, it's like having a digital version of a dollar bill.
Exactly. Think of it as a digital stand-in for an actual dollar held somewhere safe, like a bank account. And that's what helps keep the price steady.
That makes sense. So it makes stablecoins a more reliable way to make everyday transactions, right?
Yeah.
Especially for B2B.
Right.
But how do these stablecoins actually work? I mean, what's the tech behind it all?
Well, they operate on something called blockchain technology, the same foundation that powers Bitcoin and all those other cryptos. But here's the interesting part. Stablecoins can use different types of blockchains.
Different types?
Yeah. Some stablecoins use public blockchains like Ethereum. Those are open for anyone to use. But others use private or what they call permissioned blockchains, which are, more controlled, more secure, maybe a better fit for certain business applications,
Okay, so instead of going through all those middlemen, like banks, stablecoins use these blockchain systems to move money around more efficiently.
Yeah.
And didn't that report mention something about Stripe? The big online payment processor making a move in this space.
Yeah, they actually acquired this company called Bridge that focuses on stablecoin infrastructure. It's a pretty big deal.
Oh, wow. So what does that tell us?
Well, it's like they're signaling that they see stablecoins as a major part of the future of payments. It's not just about the cool tech, it's about finding a faster, more cost-effective way to handle those transactions, especially across borders.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, if a company like Stripe, with all its clout, is putting its money on stablecoins, it's definitely something to pay attention to. So if we zoom out and look at the big picture, how could stablecoins really change the way businesses operate internationally?
Well, the report pinpoints 4 key areas where stablecoins could really shake things up. The most obvious one is faster cross-border payments.
Faster payments, okay.
Imagine, geographic boundaries and time zones are practically meaningless when it comes to moving money. So a payment going from, say, the US to a supplier in Europe could happen almost instantly. No more waiting and wondering what's going on.
No more nail biting waiting for the funds to clear.
Yeah.
That would be a game changer for businesses in today's fast-paced world.
Absolutely. And that speed directly translates into the second major impact: lower transaction costs.
Lower costs, that's always a good thing.
By cutting out those middlemen and using blockchain technology, stablecoin transactions could drastically cut down on the fees businesses normally have to pay, especially for those international payments. It's like putting money back in your pocket.
Music to any business owner's ears. We've got faster payments, lower costs. What's next on the list?
So improved cash flow, that's a big one. When payments happen quicker, businesses can access their money faster, which helps with managing cash flow, right? And it gives them more financial flexibility. This is especially huge for small businesses that operate on tight margins, Gives them some much-needed breathing room.
I see what you mean. Okay, so we've got speed, cost efficiency, and better cash flow. That brings us to number 4, right?
Right. And this one might be the most impactful: improved financial inclusion.
Financial inclusion, huh? What exactly does that mean in this context?
Think about it. Stablecoins, especially with smartphones and internet access, can open up financial opportunities for businesses in places where traditional banking is limited.
So we're talking about giving a boost to entrepreneurs in parts of the world that have been kind of left out of the traditional financial system.
Exactly. And the report actually highlights a real-world example that illustrates this perfectly. Picture a small business in Kenya making these beautiful handmade bags and selling them online to customers worldwide.
Sounds like a great business. But I bet those international payments are a huge hurdle.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. High transaction fees are eating into their profits, and payments take forever to process. Plus, their access to regular banking is limited, so managing their finances is a real struggle.
That's a shame. I mean, they've got the talent, they've got the product, they've got the customers, but the current financial system is holding them back.
Exactly. And that's where stablecoins could really step in. Imagine this Kenyan business starts taking payments in USDC. That's a stablecoin tied to the US dollar. All of a sudden, they're receiving payments from their international customers in the blink of an eye.
No more waiting for weeks or months for the money to arrive. I bet that would make a huge difference for them.
Absolutely. Their cash flow improves dramatically, right? Faster payments mean they can manage their money better, pay their suppliers on time, and then reinvest their profits to grow their business. Plus, they're not losing huge chunks of their revenue to crazy fees.
It's like a chain reaction of positive changes.
Exactly. And since they're not at the mercy of exchange rates going haywire, they can plan for the future with more confidence.
This is a really powerful example of how stablecoins can make things fairer, giving businesses all over the world a real shot at competing in the global marketplace.
Absolutely. But it goes even further than that. Stablecoins have the potential to change the way we think about money and value in a global world.
Wow, that's pretty profound. This deep dive has been really eye-opening so far. We've gone from the frustrations of cross-border payments to a potential solution that could really revolutionize the way businesses operate. And I know we've only scratched the surface. Okay, this is all super interesting. But, we can't just ignore the potential downsides. I mean, no technology is perfect, right? There have got to be some challenges with stablecoins.
Of course, you're right. Every innovation comes with its own hurdles. And stablecoins are no different. One of the big ones is making sure they actually stay stable. Pegging a digital thing to something like the US dollar sounds simple enough on paper, but keeping that peg solid in a financial world that's always changing, well, it's complicated.
So there's a chance that the peg could break, right? And the stablecoin could, lose its stability.
It's a risk, definitely, and one that needs to be managed very carefully. There are a few different ways to maintain that peg. Some stablecoins are backed by actual reserves, real assets held in regular financial institutions, while others use fancy algorithms that adjust how much of the stablecoin is out there based on market demand.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, each approach has its pros and cons, and there's a lot of debate about which method is best.
Okay, so it's more complicated than just saying one digital dollar equals one US dollar. There's a lot going on in the background to keep that stability.
Exactly. And that complexity brings up another challenge: transparency. For stablecoins to really take off, people need to trust them. They need to know that the systems backing the stablecoin are solid and reliable, understand how that peg is maintained, and what's in place to prevent any funny business like manipulation or, the stablecoin becoming unstable.
So transparency is key to building that trust, right?
Yeah.
Being upfront about how things work.
Right.
Giving people the info they need to decide if they want to use stablecoins.
Precisely. Another big hurdle is the whole regulatory landscape. The world of crypto and stablecoins is pretty new, and governments and regulators are still trying to figure out how to deal with it all.
It's like trying to make rules for a game that keeps changing.
That's a great way to put it. This lack of clear rules creates a lot of uncertainty for businesses, and it can hold back the adoption of stablecoins.
It's like trying to navigate a city without a map, right? You don't know where you're going.
Exactly. Businesses need to know the rules of the game and how stablecoins fit into the current financial systems. Without that, it's hard to plan for the future.
So stablecoins have a lot of potential, but there are some serious challenges to overcome.
Absolutely. But I'm optimistic that as the technology gets more refined and the industry works with regulators to come up with clear guidelines, we can address these challenges.
It's about finding that sweet spot between encouraging innovation and making sure things are stable and secure.
Exactly. Creating an environment where stablecoins can thrive, but also protecting consumers and the integrity of the whole financial system.
We've talked a lot about the potential benefits and the challenges, but I'm curious about the bigger picture. If stablecoins really take off, how could they change the global financial landscape?
That's a great question. One of the biggest impacts could be on financial inclusion. Stablecoins could open up access to financial services for billions of people who are currently shut out. People without bank accounts or with limited access. Imagine a world where anyone with a smartphone and an internet connection can access secure and affordable financial services. That's the power of stablecoins.
It's about giving financial power to people who've been excluded, right?
Yeah.
Empowering them.
Exactly. And that could have huge ripple effects, boosting economies and improving people's lives.
It's an inspiring vision. But what about the impact on the big players? The traditional financial institutions, banks have been running the show for centuries. How do you think they'll react to the rise of stablecoins?
Well, that's the million-dollar question. Some banks might see stablecoins as a threat, a disruption to their business model. But I think the smart banks, the forward-thinking ones, will see it as an opportunity, a chance to partner with fintech companies, and use the innovation of stablecoins to offer better, more efficient services to their customers.
It's like they say, if you can't beat them, join them.
Exactly. Banks have a ton of experience and expertise. They can play a crucial role in bringing stablecoins into the mainstream.
So it's not necessarily a winner-take-all situation. There's room for collaboration and innovation.
Absolutely. The future of finance is probably going to be a mix, blending the best of traditional banking with the flexibility and accessibility of stablecoins.
This has been a really interesting conversation. We've covered a lot of ground, from the basics to the big picture. But I want to go back to something you mentioned earlier, the importance of transparency.
Yes, transparency is crucial for building trust in this space.
I agree. But how do we make sure that happens in practice? What are the tools or mechanisms that can guarantee that transparency?
That's a great question. One important aspect is open source technology. A lot of stablecoins are built on open source blockchain platforms, which means anyone can look at the code, inspect it, audit it.
So it's like having a blueprint for the whole system. Anyone can see how it works and check that it's doing what it's supposed to.
Exactly. This kind of transparency builds trust because it eliminates that black box feeling that we often get with traditional finance.
It's about empowering people with knowledge and giving them the tools to hold stablecoin issuers accountable.
Precisely. Another key factor is independent audits. Reputable stablecoin issuers should regularly have their books checked by independent third parties to make sure the reserves backing the stablecoin are real and that the systems maintaining the peg are working properly.
So it's like having a financial watchdog, making sure everything is on the up and up.
Exactly. These audits provide an extra layer of assurance and help to reduce the risk of fraud or manipulation.
It seems like transparency is an ongoing process. It's not just about making information public, but also about creating a culture of accountability and trust.
Absolutely. And that culture needs to extend beyond the stablecoin issuers themselves. Regulators also have a role to play.
How so?
Well, they can set clear guidelines for transparency, require stablecoin issuers to be open about their operations, and conduct regular checks to make sure everyone is playing by the rules.
So it's about creating a level playing field, making sure everyone is following the same standards.
Exactly. Clear regulations are essential for building trust and stability.
Okay, I'm starting to see how transparency can help address a lot of those concerns we talked about earlier. But there's one more challenge I want to touch on. Scalability.
Yes, scalability is crucial. If stablecoins are going to become widely used, the technology behind them needs to be able to handle massive amounts of transactions quickly and efficiently.
And we're talking about a global scale.
Right.
Billions of people potentially using stablecoins for everything from buying groceries to sending money overseas.
Exactly. The current blockchain infrastructure just isn't ready for that. We need some serious upgrades in scalability. Otherwise, stablecoins won't be able to reach their full potential.
So scalability is a bottleneck. What are some of the solutions being explored?
There are some promising options. One idea is to use a different type of blockchain architecture, something called a directed acyclic graph, or DAY, which can process more transactions than traditional blockchains.
So it's like upgrading the highway system to handle more traffic.
That's a good analogy. Another approach is called sharding, which involves breaking the blockchain into smaller pieces that can be processed simultaneously.
So it's like splitting a big task into smaller, more manageable chunks.
Exactly. Sharding can increase transaction speed without compromising security or decentralization.
These are exciting developments. But it sounds like there's still a lot of work to do.
Absolutely. Scalability is a complex problem. There's no quick fix. But I'm confident that with continued innovation, we can build a stablecoin ecosystem that can handle the demands of a global audience.
We've covered a lot of ground, from the potential of stablecoins to the challenges they face, and the impact they could have on the future of finance. It's been a fascinating journey.
I agree. It's an exciting time to be involved in this space, and I'm eager to see what the future holds.
Before we move on to the final part of our deep dive, I want to touch on one more thing, the role of education.
Yes, education is absolutely essential if we want to see widespread adoption of stablecoins.
I agree, but what kind of education are we talking about? And who needs to be educated?
It's a multi-pronged approach. We need to educate consumers about the basics, how stablecoins work, the potential benefits and risks.
So people can make informed decisions about whether to use stablecoins.
Exactly. We also need to educate businesses, show them how stablecoins can help them improve their operations, reduce costs, expand into new markets.
So it's about showcasing the practical applications of stablecoins.
Precisely. And finally, we need to educate policymakers and regulators so they understand the nuances of this technology and can create a regulatory framework that promotes innovation while also protecting consumers.
It sounds like a huge task, but I agree that education is key.
Absolutely. The more people understand stablecoins, the more likely they are to embrace this technology.
Okay, I think we've done a good job of exploring the challenges facing stablecoins, from stability and transparency to scalability and regulation, and we've discussed why education is so important.
It's been a very thorough discussion.
Now I'm ready to move on to the final part of our deep dive, where we'll look at some real-world examples of how stablecoins are being used and discuss their potential to revolutionize industries beyond just B2B payments. Okay, so we've talked about all the theoretical stuff, the promise, the challenges, the potential of stablecoins, but let's get real. Where are we seeing this tech being used out in the wild, like right now?
Well, we touched on cross-border B2B payments already, but there's so much more. Think about all those freelancers and remote workers who are getting paid by clients all over the world.
Yeah, I know a few.
They're getting hammered with fees and crazy wait times with those traditional payment methods.
It's a nightmare.
Stablecoins offer a much faster and way cheaper solution.
So no more waiting for weeks on end for a bank transfer to go through, and no more losing a huge chunk of your hard-earned money to fees.
Exactly. This is where stablecoins can really empower individuals. They give people more control over their finances, help them participate in the global economy on a more level playing field.
It's about knocking down those financial barriers.
Yeah.
Opening up opportunities for people everywhere.
Precisely. Another area where stablecoins are making a big splash is in remittances. Sending money back home to family and friends in other countries.
Oh yeah, that's a huge market.
Huge, especially for migrant workers. They send a big portion of their earnings back home.
Makes sense.
And those traditional remittance services, man, they can be slow, expensive, and a paperwork nightmare. But stablecoins offer a faster, cheaper, and more transparent way.
So instead of standing in line at a money transfer place, paying those outrageous fees, people can just send money to their loved ones almost instantly.
Yep, right from their phone.
That's incredible.
And since stablecoins are often pegged to the US dollar, they can protect people from wild currency swings. That's a huge worry for those sending money to countries with unstable currencies.
It's a safety net. People can have peace of mind knowing their money will get where it needs to go quickly and securely.
Exactly.
So it's not just individuals benefiting, right?
Nope, businesses are getting in on the action too.
What kind of businesses are using stablecoins and how are they using them?
One area that's really interesting is supply chain finance. Stablecoins can streamline payments and bring more transparency to the entire supply chain. I'm talking about everything from the raw material supplier to the person buying the final product.
So instead of waiting for invoices to get processed and payments to clear through all these middlemen, businesses can use stablecoins to automate those payments, right?
Absolutely. Less risk of delay than mistakes, too.
Makes sense.
This can lead to big cost savings, more efficiency, and a higher level of trust between everyone involved.
It's like making the whole system run smoother.
Right.
What else?
Another area is microfinance. That's about providing small loans and other financial services to low-income folks in communities.
An area where traditional financial institutions often don't do so well.
Yeah, the costs and risks can be too high for them. But stablecoins can change that. They make microfinance more accessible and affordable. Lower transaction fees, simpler loan disbursement, and more transparency.
So it's about empowering entrepreneurs and small businesses, especially in developing countries, giving them the tools they need to succeed.
Exactly. And the impact can be transformative. We're talking about helping people lift themselves out of poverty, driving economic growth.
It's amazing to think about.
It is. And these are just a few examples of how stablecoins are being used right now. It's clear they have the potential to revolutionize so many industries. It's not just about B2B payments anymore.
It seems like stablecoins are just getting started. It's like we're at the beginning of something huge.
We are. It's a super exciting time to be watching all of this unfold.
This deep dive has been incredible, really inspiring.
I'm glad to hear that.
And for everyone listening, keep that curiosity going. Dive deeper into stablecoins. Explore what's out there. You never know, it might just change the way you think about money, business, and even the future.
Thanks for having me. It's been a great conversation.
It really has. Until next time.